Another argument, we've all heard it. We're not black, we're brown. Now, this is an objective fact. But again, the term black is linked to a social construct. It's got nothing to do with that physical reality in this context. White people are not white, right? It's a social construct. That's what the term relates to.
The social construct is important because there's a social construct to white, meaning purity and
that's not where it came from.
What I'm saying is that I would say there's very specific reasons why the European race has attached itself to the color of purity, and they've tried to allow for every other race to attach to the color of black, which has connotations away from race,
negative,
that add to the power structure.
You're right, but yeah, we'll get there. We'll definitely get there, yeah? But the long and short of this point here, we're not black, we're brown, it's a nonsense point because the argument is that we shouldn't call ourselves black because we're not black, right? I am arguing again, that's just another way to rationalize, get around the point. You just don't like being called black because white people don't go around saying, I'm not white, I'm peach or pink, whatever you want to call it, so you shouldn't call me white. They're not bothered by that. And it's not because they're right and we should see things like them. It's because they're not offended by the term white in the same way we're offended by the term black. That's why we raise that. We're offended because of the negative connotations. But that's my point.
And I'd also argue for the same negative connotations that we attach, there will be some woke Europeans that don't like the term white because of the term white supremacy.
Yeah, there will be some. There will be exceptions that prove the rule.
There'll be conscious of us, or be people or deep thinking of us who want to always rearrange and change titles to kind of get or impact some kind of change. Whether it means anything, I'm not sure.
You're right. But the point I want to make about what you just said, which is true, is that's exceptions that prove the rule. That's just a few. It's not nearly the same amount of us, and that proves what I'm suggesting, that the true reason this argument is made, not because it's not objectively true, right? It's because we're offended by the term black, whereas white people aren't offended. And the ones you just spoke about are ones that are offended by it because they see negative connotations attached to it and then they take offense. So it's when people take negative connotation to the title, it's not whether I'm not objectively black or not objectively white. It's when it comes with a negative connotation. Oh, no, hold on, don't call me that. So that's my point. It's not when people say, I'm not black, I'm brown, so why call me black? I don't like it. You just don't like the negative connotations attached to blackness.
Yeah,
that's the root of why you're making that claim.
We're in an age now of complete self, like people identifying in whatever different way they want. So I think we're in that realm where the conversation probably holds more weight now than it did maybe a decade ago. Where you get like the Moorish Science Temple people saying, "Oh, we don't like to use the term black." You get institutions that do.
Yeah, I hear it, but I do think this one is an old argument for the last 50 years or so. It's been even 100 years or so. For many different reasons, but I would argue it's the same reason. It's the same. It's the negative connotations. That's the only reason we have a problem with it in this last 100 years. It's the only reason. No other reason. Because I would argue, and I'm going to get there, but earlier in time, we didn't have a problem with being black, and historically, black was not a negative thing. This was what the same culture that has created the social construct has convinced the world to see how to see black in this dichotomy way of thinking. Negative and positive. It's black and white way of thinking. That wasn't how the world viewed things before. That's a very Western thing.
Yeah.
So I'll get there.